Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's me, V, and
Taiwan, the lyrical monster.
My permanent guest, and we have Ava, and today Ava is 7 months old. Ava, you say hi? She says hi, everyone. So today we are going to talk about yesterday's teens versus today's teens.
All right, we're back. Had to make a quick pause real quick. So the next subject is manners.
So I remember growing up, you had to say yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. And I actually wanted to do like a quick story time about something that happened to me in my childhood. I believe it was Candace and I, my mom told us to go to see one of our neighbors that she had some packages for us, and that's when everyone would use the home phone and voicemails. And I get over there and she's asking questions, and I'm like, she asked a question, I just said yes. And she was like, excuse me? And then I thought about it and I was like, yes ma'am. And like, she chastised me. I went home and I wanted to cry. I felt so bad. Like, I didn't mean it. Just like slipped my mind. I was like, yes. And she was like, you always say yes ma'am, no ma'am when you're talking to a grown person.
Mm-hmm. Like growing up, that was definitely a thing in our household. You were never going to say yes. Like if you said yes, you could expect. If you don't get a whooping, you're going to feel like you should have just got one, because Jesus Christ. Like it was always yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. No matter what it was, even if it was something that you were super upset about, you better not often said yes. It was not a good day for you. So, growing up, we were definitely kind of had that mentality of you will treat your elders with respect. I know. I can't speak for all kids everywhere, but a lot of times when I'm out and about, I see a lot of kids aren't really using the whole yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am.
I was gonna say, it's rare that you see kids nowadays that say that.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. It's some people, they don't like it. They're like, well, I didn't like when my parents did me like that, so I'm not going to do it. But there are still a lot of people who kind of believe that those type of manners should still be instilled. To me personally, I feel like you should just treat others with respect regardless. And you always just show respect until someone shows you that they don't deserve respect. But even then, know your place, because people have been around longer than you. So at the same time, you don't have to disrespect someone or stoop to their level. You can always, exit chat. I'm out.
Exit stage left.
Yep. If it's someone who's definitely way above you, or it just goes from professional setting too, either above you professionally or older than you, and they deserve a certain level of respect. If you don't agree with what they're saying, there's a way to do that respectfully.
So do you expect for your children to say yes ma'am, no ma'am?
I would definitely like to teach them what manners are, because I feel like that goes a long way with prepping them for a life of, the job force and just talking to people that's above them.
Right.
Because if it doesn't start at home, if you never teach them how to show respect at home and show them respect, then you can't hold it against them to give respect as accordingly when they get older. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's just one of those things to where the family dynamic, those type of things have to start at home. And if you don't stop something small before it turns into something big, then you have bigger overarching problems later on.
Right.
Yeah, you'll grow up and you have people that have problems with authority, or don't know how to talk to people, and always seem to be on the back end of like terrible decisions or getting punishment, and they feel like it wasn't deserved, but at the same time they don't get why what they said or what they're doing is wrong.
Right.
So definitely was different back in the day though, because it didn't matter if it was your parent, somebody else's parent, or somebody else's conversation. As a kid, as a child, as a teen, you were saying yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, or you stand by when you get home. Not gonna be a good day.
So is there anyone that's watching this video that was disciplined by someone other than their parents?
Oh man, that's kind of a segue, I believe, into the next topic we have, right? About punishment. And so next topic, punishment. And yes, let me tell you, I have actually been whooped by someone else outside of like my immediate family. I grew up kind of in between Little Rock and El Dorado, and El Dorado still had paddling in school.
Really?
When I went through. Yes. Now, my mom wasn't for paddling. She always said, hey, it's my child, I'll discipline them. But what that meant is, don't be in school acting out. Because if she had to come to school to discipline you would have much rather that paddling. You know, I'm not gonna say I stayed out of trouble as a kid. I was definitely, in my eyes, misunderstood as a child. But I definitely talked a lot in school. Really all I got in trouble for is talking.
I was a great student,
Oh, yeah.
great child. I only had one whooping in my whole entire life. You call me a loser? Oh my god!
You gotta live a little, man. Like,
oh my god!
live a little.
Did
Like,
you just call me
come
a
on.
loser?
You gotta live some, man.
He
Like,
called me loser.
there was a time where, and I get it, right? I don't know where my mind was, and I was definitely wrong for this. But I was in school, and I can remember growing up. My grandmother, my dad's mother, had like these antique fans, the ones that like had the metal on the outside and like the decorative sheet in the inside. And I went to school, and it was like show and tell, and someone had brought one in for show and tell, and I looked at it and I was like, oh, this is really neat, right? You know, I think my grandmother would like this to go to her collection, right?
Did you take it?
So
Wait a minute, you took it?
I had his fan still sitting on my desk,
Oh.
you know, as a secretive, like I'm just gonna take it at the end of the day. And he was like, hey, what's my fan at? Like, he's asking the teacher, and she was like asking everyone where their fan was, and I just sat there quiet. And then they were like, you know, she finally came and got it. She was like, hey, is this his fan? And I was like, no, that's my grandmother's fan. I was like, that one that looks just like it. He was like, no, I'm pretty sure he's the only one who brought the fan. Either way, I was in the wrong. And so I got home. My mom was infuriated, right? 'Cause obviously the teacher called. So first and foremost, got a whooping from my mom when I got home. She's like, oh, you better wait till I tell your dad when you get home. I was like, oh my God, why? So got a whooping from my mom. Then my dad got home, and like I'm on pins and needles all day. I'm just like, oh my God, when is it coming? Because I know it's coming. I know it is. Day keeps going. I'm, you know, starting to get a little happy, playing around a little bit. My dad has my uncle over and one of my older cousins over, and they're in the living room playing some game or whatever. And, you know, I'm asking to play. He's like, nope, you can't play. But they still let me watch them, kind of sitting there chilling. And then next thing you know, my dad goes in the room for a little bit, talks to my mom. He's like, Rico, come in here. Whooping number 2. I was like, God, oh. So that's from within the family. There was a time where I was in El Dorado, right? I've got some whoopings from my grandfather as well, on top of getting a whooping from my mom. And I can't remember what it was for, but it was a group of us. It was like me, Shanika, my cousin, Markeisha. I don't know what we did, but you know, we all 3 of us got whoopings from my grandfather. My mama came home and I got another whooping. So it was, you know, definitely if you messed up at a family member's house, you can expect for that family member to give you a whooping. And then you get an additional punishment when you get home. And if Erica's watching, she can contest to that too, because lots of times she was over and girl, we stayed in so much trouble. Like, Shanika, if you're listening, remember the swing set in the backyard? My dad is putting together this swing. It was like a bench swing where you sit on it and you sit on the group, but he was telling us don't swing on it because he wasn't done with it. You know, I'm light, so I'm like, well, I'm not going to break this thing because I'm smaller than everyone else, so I can swing on it. So here I am swinging on it. And so I don't remember if I got off the swing or if all 3 of us had got on the swing or whatever. But either way it goes, we end up breaking the swing, right? So now we got to go and tell Dad we broke the swing. Now I don't even remember if we told him or not, if he just went out there and saw it or just saw us out the window because, you know, we ain't thinking about just look out the window. So we all lined up on the couch. My sister goes first, get her whooping. Me and Erica sit out to look at each other like, I ain't going. Erica got so slick and she called her parents to pick her up. So she didn't have to get the whooping. Oh man. So I'm still sitting there. I was the last person to go get this whooping. Eric, you can contest to that one. Let me know if you ever got in trouble for that one. I got to know the story behind that. But definitely me growing up, the more of the story is that I grew up in a family element where we definitely got whoopings, right? They definitely spanked the children. And if your aunties or uncles or whatever, if they were keeping you or you were standing the night somewhere and you were acting out of character, you were going to get a spanking there as well as get back home. So sometimes they give you an ultimatum where you can either take this whooping and get it over with, or you can be on punishment. I will say that if you use punishment wisely, right, you don't always have to resort to whooping a child, because sometimes there is a misunderstanding there, I believe.
And sometimes not every child has to have a whooping. Some children like me, you can just talk to, and I learned from that. Like, I don't like disappointing people.
Yeah.
So it just depends.
Yeah, and that's another thing too, because there's been times when I got older, I've probably done some things that deserve the whooping, but instead a good conversation really drives a point home, because not all the time whooping your child without, recourse is going to fix the problem. All they know is they're getting a whooping, right? They don't understand how to not make the same mistakes, and sometimes that just needs to be a conversation, right?
Right.
Sometimes it does need to be a punishment if it's just so far off course and you need a recorrection to go along with it. But I feel like in a family dynamic, we can always try to find a better way for it than just punishments.
I agree. Okay. So what do you think was different between punishments then and the punishments that children have now, or teenagers?
Well, so now in the media, it's definitely more frowned upon to punish children as far as whoopings.
I was going to say, I don't know if you read that saw the video where the woman in Hot Springs, the grandmother, I guess her granddaughter was living with her for whatever reason, and she was acting out, speaking back, so she whooped her. And then the granddaughter called the cops on her, and they arrested the grandmother. And they were like, hey, you can't do that, that's abuse. And she was like, somebody else needs to deal with her then.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, you called the cops on your grandmother?
Yeah, so that was a thing too. Like, I never told my parents I was gonna call the cops and call DHS on them, but they always threaten to say, I hope you do call the cops, but if you do, you better call the ambulance. Because
I never said that.
I brung you in this world, I'll take you out type of thing, right? So yeah, it just strike the fear of God until you let you know that they ain't messing around. So no matter who you call, they ain't gonna get there in enough time. So, but I mean, those things now you can't really say it to children now, because the world looks upon physical, like punishment as abuse now, and some of it is. There are definitely some people out there just beating kids, like I said, without understanding. And a lot of things don't deserve spankings, right?
Right.
But then sometimes they're not. I feel like some other kids could be corrected by a good spanking. Like they need one. Some people just need to get them legs tore up real quick, and it put them right. But once again, going back to what I said earlier, it starts at home in the family dynamic. If you don't fix the issue beforehand, you can expect problems later. So I don't know. It's definitely a different dynamic now, and everything being social media. There's cameras everywhere. Everybody has something to say.
Everyone has an opinion on how you should raise your child.
Right.
Like, don't do this, or you should do this, or do this more, or do this less. It's not the same as growing up. It's like whatever happened behind closed doors stayed behind closed doors. It's more than likely like, oh, you see a child acting out, and then you see a parent that, too afraid to touch their child. And like in the grocery store, for example, like they don't want to offend anyone, or don't want anyone, to like say anything like, oh, you shouldn't do that, or that's not what they do, or better yet, you don't want anyone to call the cops on you for like correcting your child. And I saw some videos like on YouTube where there was one woman in the store for her kid, and I think her kid was walking around like eating the grapes, just eating like all the fruits. So the man confronted her and was like, hey, you really need to get your child, people have to buy this, and your child is sticking their fingers, in the groceries. So she walked up to her son, I don't know if you saw the video, and she was trying to correct him, and he just like went ballistic. Like, he just was throwing stuff. He started fighting his mom, and I was like, I would never, ever in my life, my 29 years, like ever think in my mind that I'm going to fight my mom or dad. And so I guess it gets to a point like from now to then, like where people would step in then and like help the mom out. Whereas everyone in the grocery store was just like, looking like there was no one like stepping in. I mean, I understand it's like not their child, but you could clearly see that she didn't have any control over the situation or her kids. And there was one guy that came up and was like, hey, you don't need to hit your mom. He told her that. And then she also had a daughter there, and then the daughter like jumped in and started like fighting the mom too. And they eventually end up leaving, and then the guy recording the video, I think he started laughing at the end, and he was like, oh man, that's crazy. And I'm like, that's embarrassing. One, you shouldn't be recording that. Like, step in and help. Like,
keep it off social media and help people.
But we live in a world now, which is now versus then, where people didn't have, smartphones, and they were not quick to say, oh, let me see your phone, or record that over there and let's, put
Blow
this
the
on.
up and make it go
Yeah,
viral.
like we didn't do that then. But now you go somewhere, you see something that's like out of the norm. It's like the first thing people think is, oh, I need to record it. So I guess I've seen it in so many ways to say, back to what he said at the top of the punishment, we didn't do that in the store. We didn't fall out. We didn't have temper tantrums. It wasn't any crying, screaming, talking back. Definitely didn't talk back.
Not at all.
You didn't do that. When we get in this store, what did your parents used to say? Don't ask for nothing.
Don't be here touching stuff.
Don't touch anything.
We getting what's on this list and act out.
Oh, I don't know if you guys saw Lavelle Crawford. Is that his name? I made you watch it with me. The comedian. Goodness, he's so terrible with names. I think his name is Lavelle Crawford. If I have it wrong, I'll correct it at the bottom of the screen. But he was telling the story when his mom took him to the store. His mom was real tough on him and his sister. So his mom said, I'm going to put your sister, maybe he had a brother, I'm not sure. I'm going to put your sister inside the car. Remember her sister. She said, Lavelle, when we get in this store, don't ask for nothing. Don't touch anything. She said, we're going in here to pay a phone bill. And then she also said, what else do you think she said?
What?
Do not hit the back of my foot with this cart. That part tickled the heck out of me, you guys.
What are some of the things your parents used to tell you? Like, I want to hear them.
And then she told him the funniest thing. I think the funniest part about that whole comedy show was she said, I'm young enough to go to jail, get out, and have several more of you. It was that tickled the crap out of me. Like, his mom was really strict, but it was funny because I could relate to it. Like, my mom didn't say that, but it was relatable. Like, don't ask for anything, don't beg for anything, don't touch anything. And I had younger siblings, and so it was always like, watch your younger siblings.
Yeah.
So what punishment did you guys have growing up? Were your parents more along the whippings? Did you guys get like grounded? That's what the word I was looking for. Thank you.
Like what was it?
Like talking to? Like did you get things taken away? What was it?
Let us know. All right. So now on to the next topic, and it is schooling versus career. The school system, as far as like topics being taught, subjects, dynamics, and a lot of things like that, hasn't been revised since like the last 40, 50 years.
Probably.
It's been a while, and we're not in the same place as a nation, as a world, and as a country that we were in back then. We definitely were prepping people to do things like join the military or join a major institution, right? And the mindset was always, hey, if you graduate with a high school diploma, then you're going to be doing manual labor, right? That's the bulk of your things. Going to get a trade or having some type of trade skills was just frowned upon. And I feel like nowadays it's the exact opposite of that, where there's people graduating with college degrees now that they're not getting anything. You know what I mean? Like there's still people that graduated 2010, 11, 12 that still aren't working in the field that they went to college to try to get in that field up, because it's not what it used to be. Having a college degree now is not the thing, and we're not at war on that level anymore, where we need to just keep fulfilling our military. It's now trade based. We need people that can do things with their hands or know how to do something when entering the workforce, and you don't get experience in the workforce from school. You get it from doing things in that field. And me personally, I feel like growing up that I didn't always get the best schooling. So I was in El Dorado, and smaller town, so the student-to-teacher ratio was, better, right? And you definitely learned what was being taught, right? You learned the subject, and we were actually learning like a grade or so above. So we didn't spend a lot of time on, stuck on the same thing and or whatever case may be. The teachers are able to teach the subject and focus on the children who weren't catching on and actually get them up to speed, right? But then I went to Little Rock, and it was like I was ahead of the school year that year, but I was like, I had to learn behind because everyone else was still learning stuff I learned last year, right? So then when I moved back, then I was behind now because everything that they're learning, I'm not learning now. And it just goes to show that you suffer more in school in the inner cities, to me, that I feel, than if you can somehow fix that student-to-teacher dynamic. What do you think about it?
I mean, I agree. Schooling was way different, I believe. in my opinion, like they taught us more then, and like the work that they gave us was a lot easier. It seems like than what the math, for example, math than what the math that they have now. Like it just was. It was way different growing up than it is now. You know, like it's just completely different.
Yeah.
Like I believe, like when we were in school, like they said, oh, you know, you go to high school and then everyone fills out their FAFSA so they can get into the college of their choosing, and that's not reality for everyone.
Not anymore. Now reality is like I said, some people are going to trade school so they can actually
you can go to trade school, which they didn't teach us about that in school. They would say, oh,
college,
go to college. It was like push college, which is fine, but like he said, not everyone that goes to college will get a job in their field, and that's just the reality. Like
or pass. Like the college failure rate was ridiculous.
A lot of people go to college and realize, like after going there, that college is not for them.
Not for them, and then they fell out. And now you have a young adult, you know, 10, 15, 20, 30,000, 40, even more dollars in debt as starting off in their 20s. They're already in mass amount of debt and they have no skills. They dropped out of college, so they don't have any vast level of knowledge. But even if they did pass, depending on what they did, they don't have skills that they can take to the workplace. You know, so you actually come out farther behind than the person who would have worked for 4 years.
And sometimes even going to college, like we said, it doesn't automatically grant you a job. There could be someone that has experience but doesn't have a degree that gets the job before you because they have the experience.
They can actually do the job they're being hired for. Right.
So they did push that a lot when we were in high school. It was like, oh, you have to prepare for college. You have to do A, B, C, D, you know, like fill out your FAFSA, get your parents' information, pick your colleges. And then reality sets in that college isn't cheap. And that was another thing. Like when you start looking at numbers and it's like this college costs X amount of dollars, where the community college, you can go there first, get your associates, and then move on and get a bachelor's degree.
And then most of the time you're just paying for a name. You weren't even paying for a degree.
Exactly, because taking the same classes.
It's like buying the same shoe and one's a Nike, the other one's a starter. Obviously you want the Nike shoe,
right?
But it's the same shoe. Are you getting the same work out of it? Sure, people look at you, oh yeah, you graduated, it must be smarter. But then the guy who's been doing the job for the last 4 years is not working.
So it's sorry guys, she's teething, sorry. So it's different. I believe growing up, like, I don't know, when we were in high school, they pushed college. Probably before, like you said, they probably pushed men to join the military. You know, women, not like in the 90s, but I'm thinking more so like in the, I don't know, I want to say maybe like in the, I don't know if like in the 60s or 70s, if they were telling them to women to like, were they pushing them to go to college, or were they pushing them to like be homemakers? Like,
I feel like it was a lot of homemaking.
Yeah. I wish they offered more life preparing classes in high school. Like credit, buying a home, mortgage, student loans, how that affects you, taking out loans, period, car, just like more things to
prepare.
And I know like a lot of that they say that you should learn that at home, but then sometimes you don't learn that things at home. So you spend, which is what he said, you spend your 20s making the mistakes, and then you spend your 30s trying to fix the mistakes that you made in your 20s, and then you spend your 40s finally getting a chance to enjoy life.
Because here's where I'm at, right? If the mindset is, hey, all those things about balancing checkbooks and credit and the financial market and stock market and student loans and things, you're supposed to learn those from your parents. Okay. Mm-hmm. Where's my parents supposed to learn it from? Their parents? Okay. Where was their parents supposed to learn it from? Their parents? Okay. But before that, who was teaching their parents? Nobody. So at what point are we supposed to be able to teach this and pass information down? We're not.
Right.
So if we're not going to take the initiative, and I know they're going to say, oh, well, just break the cycle. How about you learn it and pay it forward? No, how about we fix the school system now? Because there's a lot of people who have this dynamic to where, what if both their parents died while they're in middle school? Mm-hmm. So then they go stay with someone else, like a grandparent who never learned it. The margins are still there. Like our school system, to me, is broken. We're still teaching outdated material, and we're not actually preparing people to enter the workforce, because the vast majority of high school students go directly into the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
but they don't know anything about being an adult.
Like opening up a checking account, having a savings account.
Preparing for retirement when you first start the workforce.
You know, having a 401k, like, you know, the taxes that come out of your check, like where that money, like that's my little side note. I just wish that there were more life preparing courses in high school, and me and my friend Brianna were talking about that. That should be in every high school. That should be a required course that you take in every high school.
And I think it should be covered for 2 years and not just here's a semester.
Right.
Figure it out. I think it should be a 2-year course where they hit the span of all those things. Because I'd have a different mindset about home ec if it was coupled with those other subjects.
Right.
But you just only teaching me about wood shop, which is building something, right, with some wood, or about how to take care of a baby and how to cook. You're not teaching me anything about adulthood.
Yeah.
I still got to pay bills. Still got to bounce a checkbook.
Yeah.
Like you're basically setting the less fortunate up for failure.
So I just feel like maybe if children knew some of the things, you know, that would happen to them in their 20s, or like paying taxes, or just et cetera, whatever, you know, maybe people would make different decisions.
I agree.
So that was just our little side note. So if you guys can let us know, are there things that happened to you when you were in school that you wish you had known, you know, growing up? Or is school now completely different from when you were in school then?
Yeah, like for those of you who have teenagers at home, what are some of the things you see different now than what you saw back when you were in school?
So our last topic, I wrote down communication and how we communicate. So I know growing up, I'm not sure if it was the same for you, we had like one number. Everyone was using the house phone.
Yes.
So it's my brother, me, Candace, 3 of us, all in high school. So we all had to share the phone. And then when I finally was able to get a cell phone, I believe we had, I'm not sure which carrier that we had, but I know that we had free talk after 7. So my mom would fuss at me because she would say, you're always talking, but you talk at the wrong time. And I was using all the minutes up.
Yeah.
So, of course, that was pissing people off. So I eventually had to get my own phone. And then eventually they switched it to unlimited talk and text. But it was always like free talk after 7. Maybe it was 9, and then we upgraded to free talk after 7. So communication then is a lot different than communication now. I remember growing up, like I said, we used the house phone, or you had your cell phone.
Man. And there was like times where I'll be having conversations on the phone, and then like Dad will hop on, we got a phone.
My dad did that to me too, and I was like, okay, I gotta go, bye.
Or I don't bed on late and trying to sneak it, right? Don't call me. You know, I'm gonna call you at this time, and you just, you know, don't let the phone ring. I'm gonna call you at exactly this time, or I'm gonna call and hang up. The way you know it was me. So when I call back, you can answer the phone. Like,
wow.
You know, just doing whatever to try to sneak to be on the phone. I hated having a house phone. That's why when like cell phones finally like came around, and then I think I got a little older. My first phone was my first. I had a track phone. I believe is my first phone. Dang, she threw that carrot far. So it was a prepaid phone. And then finally I got old enough to get my first little job. It was at Kroger, my first job bagging, and I got a Cricket. That was my first phone by myself, my own plan, old enough, I had a Cricket. In a way, it's kind of better because then parents had more accountability of who their children were talking to. Because they could always just hop on the phone and ask you to introduce yourself. Who is your folks? Let me talk to your parent. Like, you know, it was for parents who are more involved in, kids weren't able to like kind of get mixed up with like, there's this 37-year-old who's posing as a, you know, middle school person trying to talk to an underage girl. Like there wasn't it was still happening, but it was like less likely to happen via phone.
Right.
You know, and there wasn't much posting from social media. Like, let me just go ahead and post this video that I'll never be able to live down as a, you know, adolescent in my bedroom.
Right.
You know, I have to ask my parent to use my camera and probably hold it for me, the video camera with the tape, you know, just so I can have it for later.
Yeah, and then we also passed a lot of notes. Well, they probably still pass notes. Do you remember how they would fold the notes up that special
way? Yeah, it was like an art.
Yeah.
You knew. When you got a note from somebody that liked you, you knew because it was folded all types of ways. They had like a little messages almost on each fold, little hearts and stuff, spray a little perfume on it. Like kids nowadays, they ain't get none of that. You get a text and some emojis and some gifts. Like, that's it. And then your messages later on get put in a group chat or screenshotted because you go through a breakup.
Right.
It used to be letters. Nope, no digital footprint.
None of that. It was all letters. I'm gonna write you a letter. You respond back and write me a letter. So I think that communication has definitely changed. We did not have social media. I don't think Facebook was open until was it after we graduated or the year of?
No, it was in high school.
Was it during high school?
Yeah, it was during high school, but it was
11th grade.
I think I got my Facebook account the summer of 9th grade.
Well, maybe I'm not sure you guys.
But it wasn't popular until 10th grade.
It wasn't as popular as it is now. Everyone didn't have a Facebook page, and plus the only way for you to get on Facebook is that you had to be tied.
Somebody had to invite you.
Someone had to invite you, and you had to be tied to that high school. There wasn't
Before
you just
that,
go
you had to
and
tie to the
create.
University.
Yes,
So
you
you
couldn't just
wanted
go
to get in
and
first.
create just a page just because. So communication has changed. The communication styles have
Everybody
changed.
has one. Everybody has Facebook.
Facebook, everybody might have Instagram or Twitter, just
Job
whatever.
has one.
Or LinkedIn. A lot of people use LinkedIn now as well.
Twitter. You got Wendy's out here firing back at people, clapping back. Yeah, that wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
But now, try to keep up with the times. Communication and technology is key with keeping up with certain things. So
is there anything communication-wise that has changed, that you did when you were in high school or middle school that you noticed that they don't do now in high school or middle school?
Yep. What do you guys feel like? Was it better when you had to send your child 4 or 5 houses down to ask you for that recipe or for some sugar or
I
whatever?
was gonna say knock on the door for some sugar. Or
we ain't never got no sugar.
Well, what did Craig say? Y'all always got one thing and not the other thing.
Peanut butter, no jelly.
Sugar, no Kool-Aid. Milk, no cereal. So that brings us to the end of our podcast. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us. Let us know down below how things have changed growing up. When you guys are growing up now, any differences that we may not have pointed out, we would love to hear them.
Yep, and by all means, don't forget to slide by my channel. Haven't posted anything new yet, but hey, I still got my little rider climbing up a little bit on the charts and the views, so I appreciate all you who came for the last view. The Bean Boozled Challenge is the last thing
that we did together.
Make sure you check that out. We'll put a little clip here.
Your turn.
Oh.
So we've already did the canned dog food and bark. So we land on next menu. So what's that?
Tutti Frutti or Stinky Socks?
So that's the this one.
This one right here, right?
Let me see. But where's another one of those? Right here?
Yep.
No, that doesn't look like yours.
Nice.
So this one? There's this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold up
So again, Tutti Frutti or Stinky Socks.
1, 2, 3. I can't tell. No, it's definitely Stinky Socks. It tastes musty. Never taste something that tastes musty before. How do you make that? How do you make something taste musty? Oh. And make sure you guys check out my little rider with how kind of that playing right now on the outro. So say bye, Ava.
Say bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Normally she does. I think she's kind of over it today. And we hope that you guys are staying safe. And if you're able to stay inside, then we hope you guys are staying inside as well.
So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been you,
me, us. Bye. Until next time. Did she wave bye? Bye bye.